SMGs might be in the best place they have ever been in the meta of Escape from Tarkov, and in this video I want to talk about why that is and shout out 5 SMGs that you absolutely should be using if you haven't yet. There are a lot of things that came together in patch point 14 to essentially buff SMGs this wipe. The recoil is the obvious one, but definitely can't be overlooked. There have been many wipes where SMGs have felt quote-unquote laser beamy, but most of the time that is because one specific ammo would have some insane stat that would greatly reduce the recoil, and the first few shots were always atrocious and then it would level out. This made it so that you were pretty much forced to mag dump every single target, because if you tried to fire multiple shots in semi-auto, the recoil was just ridiculous. The new recoil really flipped all that on its head. Now SMGs across the board feel incredible to shoot in semi-auto and in controlled bursts, which makes conserving ammo much easier. And as for full auto, it seems much more balanced since the recoil gets harder to control the longer you shoot, not easier to control. I can actually keep my eyes on my target while I'm shooting, which is nice, but it is extremely hard to hit consistent shots in the same spot, especially on a moving target at any sort of range. The other huge factor here that plays into why SMGs feel so good this wipe is the ammo. While most bigger guns like ARs and snipers had their mid-range and high-end ammos moved up the traders or completely taken off the traders, most SMGs actually saw some of their best ammos put back on the traders or made available in higher quantities. And this actually makes a lot of sense. SMG ammos across the board for the most part are not that good, which is exactly what you would expect. These are smaller calibers being shot out of smaller guns. Some of the best in slot SMG ammos often have less pen, less damage, and fly much slower than early to mid-range rifle calibers. Last wipe, for example, M856A1 was on Peacekeeper level 2, but AP 6.3 was locked behind Peacekeeper level 3, and you can only buy like 90 rounds. This sort of felt like BSG was just chasing their tail in a circle the past few years, trying to balance specific ammos or the recoil on specific guns, but due to the entire rework of the recoil and them taking the time to look at what ammos should be available, SMGs are finally a viable option without being too overpowered. And if you add all of this to the fact that face shields are becoming increasingly more rare, and with the new armor system, there are like 4 or 5 more hitboxes where you can completely ignore armor, it's pretty easy to see why SMGs feel so good this wipe. So now that we've talked about why you should be using them, let's dive into 5 of my favorite SMGs this wipe. Starting off with number 1, and that is the MP5 SD. And honestly, number 1 is really just pick your favorite 9mm SMG and run with it. My favorite is the MP5 SD. You can purchase it at level 2 Peacekeeper. It's 440 USD, which is about 62,000 rubles, and it already comes with the suppressor attached. Throw on the universal low profile mount from Peacekeeper level 1 or the MP5 BNT tri-rail mount from Mechanic level 2, and whatever optic you want, and you are good to go. It has 50 round mags available, which is really nice. There are 2 barters for them, and you can buy them off the flea market for around 25 to 30,000 rubles, or you can use the 30 rounders if you are looking for more of a budget option. It's got a few decent options when it comes to ammo as well. Unless you are looking specifically for a leg meta round, you're going to want to stick to PST, GZH, or higher. PST is incredibly cheap, but that 20 pen is a little bit less than ideal. Like I said before, face shields are pretty rare now, so it really isn't that hard to hit some consistent headshots and drop people quick, but it will definitely struggle against armor. The bread and butter here is the AP 6.3. $2 a round is really cheap, and the fact that you can buy 210 at a time means you can really stock up on this. There is also a craft for AP 6.3 as well, which is another really nice way to get it, and at 30 pen and 52 damage, this is kind of like a great all-around SMG round. The extra 9 pen on PvP is really nice, but the only way to get it is to find it in raid or use AP 6.3 to craft the PvP in the hideout. Overall, this thing shoots like a dream and is really fun, but you really could swap this out with an MP9 9mm Vector or the PP19 and get pretty similar performance. My second pick here is the SR2M. This is probably the gun I've had the most fun running this wipe. It shoots incredibly flat. Like, it is really easy to hit consistent headshots in close range with this gun. The gun and the suppressor are purchasable from level 3 proper, and oftentimes can be found cheaper on the flea. Not much to worry about when it comes to modifying the gun. Throw the suppressor on and whatever flashlight you like. You can buy an adapter to put whatever red dot you want on, but I personally like the Cobra sight that is made specifically for the SR2. It does have a maximum magazine capacity of 30 rounds, which is unfortunate, but they are cheap and you can buy 10 per reset. Taking a look at the ammo, we see that this definitely isn't the strongest SMG, but we do see some new options. I would recommend starting with the 7U4 at level 3 proper, since you need level 3 proper to get the gun anyway. You can get PS at level 2 proper after completing the quest The Bunker, I believe, but that extra pen on the 7U4 can be really helpful. BT was previously not purchasable at all from the traders, but once you hit proper level 4, you can buy this straight from him, which is super nice, and at 32 pen and 49 damage, this is a pretty solid round. The 7N42 is new and it's a pretty great round, but unfortunately you are stuck having to find this in raid. Overall, there is just something about how flat this gun shoots. It just melts people and is super fun to use. My number 3 pick is going to be the P90. This has always been one of my favorite SMGs, and now that more ammo is available and semi-auto feels better, it's even more fun to run. The big differentiator here is the magazine capacity. The P90 only has 50 round mags, which is really big for an SMG and means you can stay in an engagement for much longer. The downside is that repacking them is a literal nightmare and takes forever. The P90 is available to buy from Peacekeeper level 3 and is normally a little bit cheaper on the fleet. There are some barters for it as well, the notable one being the Mechanic level 2 barter for 6 GP coins, since it comes with the suppressor and the optic on it already, which makes it a really good value. The P90 has a few considerations when modding it out. The suppressor can be pretty expensive, but it is accessible from the flea market. But you actually don't need this with this gun. The long barrel unsuppressed version of the P90 feels really nice too and is a little bit more accurate. You're just going to have to remember that you're unsuppressed. There are some different height mounts for this gun as well. I personally like the low profile one the best. The ammo is really where the P90 shines. The SS197SR is a great budget option here, sitting somewhere between something like a PSTG-ZH and an AP 6.3 when it comes to pen, but with much higher damage. Once you get to Peacekeeper level 3, L191 has 33 pen, which is awesome. And finally, SS190 is back on the traders and is a really hard-hitting SMG rounds. You sacrifice a little bit of damage, but 37 pen plus 50 round mags and how low the recoil is on the P90 makes this a really strong choice. The fourth SMG here is going to be the 45 Vector. This is another really hard-hitting SMG. A little bit more expensive at about 90k from Skier level 3, but you can find them cheaper on the flea market. Simple to mod as well, and the suppressor is normally pretty cheap on the flea. The thing that makes the 45 Vector so deadly is the fire rate at 1100 RPM. This is already a bigger SMG caliber, but it shoots so damn fast that the DPS on this thing is insane. The downside of that is that it only has 13 and 30 round mags. You can go through 30 rounders really quick with how fast this shoots, but if you hit your shots, this thing is deadly. 45 is a really nice caliber. Match FMJ is available at level 2 Peacekeeper, and while it only has 25 pen, 72 damage is insane for an SMG round. Then once you get to level 4 Peacekeeper, you jump way up to AP rounds, which hit extremely hard with 38 pen and 66 damage. If you can hit your shots with this thing, your enemy will die. For some reason, the ump just didn't feel that great to me this wipe. Maybe it's because there are more options, I don't know. But the 45 Vector is like the ump on steroids. The last pick here is my favorite SMG of all time, and that is the MP7. The MP7 is kind of the jack of all trades when it comes to SMGs. Good ammo, good magazine capacity, and good fire rate. He's dead. Oh, the angle, bro! You can buy the A1 variant from level 3 Peacekeeper, but both variants are available on the flea market and are anywhere between 35 and 45,000 rubles. The only difference here is that on the A2, you can put whatever foregrip you want on it, but honestly, it's not going to make really any difference. I use the A1 all the time. The hang up here is the suppressor. It is locked behind Mechanic level 4 and can be over 100,000 rubles on the flea market. You can honestly get away with no suppressor if you are looking for more of a budget option. It has 20, 30, and 40 round mags, with the 40s being locked behind Mechanic 4. The ammo is really strong here too. JSP is right up there with something like an AP 6.3. It's really cheap, and you can find this all over in your raids. Once you get to Mechanic level 4, FMJ with 40 pen is an absolute beast. The high fire rate, good capacity mags, and low recoil make the MP7 an insane SMG that is super fun to use. So that is my rant on SMGs. I think they're in a really good spot and you really can't go wrong using any of these. Let me know what you think down below. However, what is your favorite SMG to use so far this wipe? If you like this video, think about dropping a like, commenting down below, or subscribing to the channel for more content like this. I stream Escape from Tarkov about 6 days a week on Twitch. My links will be down below. And if you're looking for people to play Tarkov with, our Discord is an awesome place to be. That link is down below as well. Thank you again for stopping by, and I will definitely see y'all on the next one.